The Mummy series has always been about action, adventure, romantic moments. We've seen it all too many times. However, Lee Cronin has finally stepped in and has gone full-time horror with this new installment. That's refreshing. But however, the real question is, does it work? Let's unwrap this mummy and find out. Now, this movie primarily takes place in Aswan, Egypt, where we're introduced to a character called Magician. She and her family are living in a house which is above a black pyramid. Now, this black pyramid is not your typical pyramid from what I've observed, it's more of a smaller scale replica of one. Now, this pyramid has a sarcophagus that is around 3 to 4,000 years old and it has a cursed mummy in it. They're basically the guardians of this mummy. The mummy comes back to life, it kills her family in a gruesome fashion. Now, what I liked about this scene and what it clearly tells us is it basically sets a tone for the rest of the film. Unrelenting, unforgiving violence and gore. No laughs and no giggles this time. Now the magician goes on to kidnap a girl, a small girl called Katie. Now her father Charlie Shannon basically tries to get her back. He runs after them. However, an untimely sandstorm comes and interrupts him, and Katie has been kidnapped, and she goes missing for 8 more years. Now, at this point, it is very clear, at least from the Brendan Fraser era, there is the Mummy movie cannot exist without a sandstorm. That's right, a sandstorm has to be there for it to be called a Mummy movie. This movie further, like, it proved that. Now the family grieves and it moves on. 8 years later, they are in the New Mexico, Albuquerque, where they are starting a new life. However, now we are treated to a plane crash in Aswan. Now, once this plane crashes, it reveals that it was carrying the same sarcophagus that we saw in the beginning of the film. Now, this guess what pops out of this Kinder egg? That's right, Katie. Now she has been mummified. She is in a catatonic and demonic state. She's been taken to a facility. She's extracted. So basically, they've opened the Pandora's box from here on. This is where all the horror ensues. Now, moment Charlie and Larissa Shannon find out about this, they are overwhelmed. They are overcome with a mix of emotions. Now, what I really liked about the scene is the raw display of emotions. This movie holds nothing back, guys. It's not just the violence; it's even the human interaction. The emotions felt authentic. It felt real. The emotional acting in this movie was on the next level, I would say, and it seemed appropriate for the situation. There was horror, there was disappointment, there was happiness. It was a cacophony of emotions. Now, this moment of great acting, this display of emotions, now leads to a very dumb and unconventional decision. I mean, when the parents go to see their daughter, they clearly warn that they're not about to like what they see and they better be prepared for it. Now they go in, I don't know, at this point I need to really question this decision. When you see your daughter, she doesn't look human. She barely looks human. She's demonic. She's mummified, and she has no human semblance of humanity whatsoever. The only solution they can think of is taking her back to their home and nursing her to normalcy. Nursing her back to good health. I don't get it. How does that happen? I mean, I don't know. There's no logic behind this decision. However, hey, we need a horror movie, right? We are here for a horror movie, so it has to happen. So they take her home and hoping that she'll become the same normal girl she was earlier. And then they were very, very wrong about this. Now, the moment they enter the house, now the movie takes a turn. Before, it's basically kind of resembled a Mummy movie. However, once it comes to the house, we get a whole new brand of horror. Now it resembles Conjuring. It's more like a Conjuring type of action. Now, basically, there's chaos all over. The things are flying all over. She's levitating. She's basically a ghost girl now. Now, this is the best way I can describe this movie from here on. Conjuring and Evil Dead decide to meet up at a bar, have a few drinks, have a good time, and then they saw the movie. They're both like, why not? Why don't we join in on the action? Why miss the opportunity? So it becomes not just a Mummy movie here. It becomes the Mummy plus Conjuring plus the Evil Dead. Now, this leads me to my next point. Now, please do comment, let me know in the comments below. But what do you think? Does this look like a mummy or does this movie look like a deadite? I am genuinely confused right now because this looks more deadite than any mummy I've ever seen. I mean, she behaves like a deadite. She moves like a deadite. She does mischief and plays evil jokes like a deadite. She attacks her victims the same way a deadite would. So, from what angle does this look like a mummy? She doesn't. But however, that being said, I could understand why they gave her a very different and unconventional appearance for a mummy because she's not a regular mummy. She's a vessel for a demonic spirit. She didn't go through the same mummification process, and the reason for mummification wasn't the same. She was basically a containment. They just used certain similar elements like wrapping around with a bandage, putting her in a sarcophagus, in a pyramid. So she's a very different kind of a mummy, not a traditional mummy at all. So that explains her very different appearance. Now let's talk about her lead. Jack Reynor. I mean, he does a very good job. He, like I said, he's part of the emotional acting, which really impressed me. However, if you're expecting some swashbuckling, romantic, charismatic, and charming Rick O'Connell, or some hyper energetic grave robber like Nick Morton, that's not it. He's not any of those people. He's a grounded man. He's a TV reporter. He's a family man who cares deeply about his family. However, he comes off as a bit unlikable to me personally because I can't root for him. Even after I left the theater, I was not talking about him. I was not rooting for him. I don't want to see more of him because he's a bit of an asshole in certain scenes. I mean, he seems a bit callous. He seems self-centered. He's impulsive, quick to anger. He just doesn't have the right qualities to make a very charismatic lead. However, I think he works for this more grounded horror take because, like I said, we are not supposed to enjoy this movie. We're supposed to be horrified with this movie. We're supposed to feel disgust. So I guess as a lead, he does kind of fit that narrative. And of course, one character does need mention: the detective, the Egyptian detective who worked closely with our main characters in order to uncover her daughter. She was played by May Calloway. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. She's played a very crucial and important role in this movie. She can be just as a like sidelined as a character who was nosy, who was just a typical authority, who just likes to appear in certain scenes. No, she was actually instrumental in actually recovering the mummy and actually telling them about why she is the way she is, and also helping them defeat her and bring her back to normalcy. So this character actually is played very well. She shows great patience, which is a contrast to our main character, and yeah, she does. She I can say she's just as important supporting character as any main cast here. And I also couldn't help but notice that they've taken certain elements from the Mummy 2017 with Tom Cruise. For instance, the plane carrying the curse of Phobos and crashing and letting it out, and also the fact that it's not a traditional mummy who is cursed with some forbidden magic. No, he's basically the mummy is a demonic spirit in a human vessel, and that's what gives the mummy its powers and its disposition. So these are very reminiscent of Tom Cruise Mummy 2017, and I think it's all right. It does work for the film. And now let's talk about the violence. Now that is the main sell point of this film. We all knew that that was going to be the case. That is the main source of horror, if you will. If you I mean it makes Human Centipede like a child's play. Basically it feels like horror comedy. That's what this is disgusting, right? There are certain scenes genuinely I could not see it. I could not see the screen. I had to turn my way. I had to turn around and look at the audience instead of the movie itself. It was disgusting, guys. I mean, it is. They really went over the top with this. They didn't hold back their punches. They didn't pull any punches in this. However, one thing I like to say is, along with this disgust, which was obviously intended, I really like that they used a mix of CGI and practical effects. I mean, you cannot achieve this level of gore with just CGI. I mean, there's got to be some lot of practical work, practical setups, and I really like that it was combined really well. It showed authenticity, and even the CGI worked really well in this movie. I didn't see any sort of half measure. It was perfectly done, and it fit with the environment pretty well. But what impressed me the most was the ending. I'm not going to spoil it here because this is supposed to be a non-spoiler review, so I will not spoil the ending. Please do check it out if you haven't. The ending was very, very satisfactory. It came full circle. It really, it felt like I was like, oh yes, finally. It came like that. And the best part is, it seemed open-ended, meaning we might get a sequel. You never know. I mean, the same vein as Lee Clon's The Mummy, you might get another one which is horrifying, just as horrifying, maybe even worse. The ending was open. It was open. It was not. It wasn't exactly a cliffhanger. It wasn't exactly a closed loop. No, it worked for the film, but at the same time, it left us open for more. Maybe you might get more installments. Now, my opinion on this movie, I would say it's a mixed bag. Did they give me everything that I expected, or at least most of what I expected? Not really. However, am I happy? Am I satisfied with what they did give me? Yes, I am. I would really recommend this movie, but be prepared for a lot of body horror, a lot of disgust, a lot of gore. Basically, it's like this. It depends on the kind of horror fan you are. What kind of a horror head are you? Are you a Nightmare on Street kind of a person? Do you like Evil Dead? Do you like what comes with it? Do you like the Human Centipede? This, I guarantee you, you will like this movie. You will love what they have to offer here. So that's all I have to say about this. And do watch it in the theater. It's a more of a theatrical experience. So what do you guys think? Did you see it? Yet to see it? Come and let me know in the comments below. Do like, share, and subscribe. And of course, do watch my review of The Pyramid, which is another very good horror movie in the same part of the same Egyptian mythology. It's up on my channel right now. Please do check it out. And let's embrace cinema together. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.